Hi everyone, it's Margaret here with 60 and Me. Thank you so much for being here with me. I'm really appreciative of the time that you take to join our conversations. And we've got women now all over the world, and I just love the dynamic of this community. You're so kind to each other, and part of it, I think, is we're just on a journey that we understand as women over 50. We know what is, what the challenges are, what's going on. And I say over 50 because we have women from 50 to 100, and that transition point in your 50s leads to that magical number of 60, which is of course 60 and me. So I wanted to also remind you that if you want to get our newsletter, just go ahead and type in 60andme.com/membership. And then you can sign up and receive our newsletter. It tells you what articles we posted on the website, and also links to new videos that I record. So we talk about things that are on your mind, and if you've ever got any suggestions, always just leave them in the section below. Now, every day I have a cup of tea. Today I've got my tea. Where is it? It's a really unusual one again. It's turmeric, but with orange and star anise. These tea companies like Twinings and others, they're actually getting into the, understanding that tea is not just English breakfast and Earl Grey anymore. There's a lot of cool stuff going on, and the one I'm drinking is turmeric with star anise and orange. So there it is. Hope you've got something nice to drink. Just sit back and relax, because I want to talk to you about a topic that comes up a lot, but I think that Christine Field, one of our fabulous bloggers, I love our writers, she actually talks from her own experience, and I think it's quite valuable. But I do want to also mention before we start that this program is sponsored today by International Living. International Living is a company that helps people to make decisions about retiring overseas. So if you want to go up to internationalliving.com and then /60andme, you can check out some of their reports. One, for example, on 5 places in Europe to retire, which you may not have thought about in your search for another place to spend your life in retirement. So, topic today. Why would I say that getting older is a gift? Now, a lot of people will respond, I'm sure, in the comments and say things like, I don't see anything cool about being 60 years old. I'm not enjoying it. It's not for me. But, we're here. We're here, we're breathing, we're alive, we're on this planet. And like so many others will remind us, this is the alternative, to something we don't want. And it's really why we're here at 60 and Me, is to help this transition. And so Christine wrote this great article on 3 reasons, she's given us 3, why getting older is a gift. And I think that when you hear me go through her 3 ideas or 3 reasons, you'll understand where she's coming from. And maybe that will resonate with something in you too. Because I think that the whole point here is that we may not all experience all 3 of these. We may not feel the same way that Christine does. But I think in many ways, I've connected with all 3 of these. Now, the first one may sound counterintuitive if you think that you're feeling invisible. But the whole thing that she talks about here is that she has the freedom to speak her mind. Now, you may say, no one's listening. And, that's the whole part of invisibility. But we're not doddering old women. I don't mean that in a really horribly negative way, but we're not, mentally slowing down. We're doing things. We're trying new ways of living, new living situations, new places to live. We're adapting to new diets. We're trying to stay healthy. We're not that image, that stereotype. Now, when you're 95 years old or 100 years old, you may want to sit a little longer than you did when you were 50 or 40. But the point is, we've got a stereotype to shatter here. And the thing that Christine says is that she's given up on the need to be right all the time, to be on top all the time. Because I think that we have this built into us as we're working to sort of be aggressive about success and achieving things and be successful, always be the most perfect one at any endeavor. And it's time to just kind of have your passions, the things you believe in, but don't try to be the top of the game. Just enjoy it. Now, I read something the other day, which was, I think it was a book by Anna Quindlen. I somehow knew this woman 30 years ago, but I can't for the life of me remember whether I met her or just read a book. But she's very familiar to me, but she wrote a book recently on grandmotherhood, nanahood. It's called Nanahood. And in it, she said something that just, honestly, that day when I read what she said, it kind of changed, it changed my life, but it did actually make me stop to think. And she said something like, I've always been used to leading. Now I've got to be used to following. And she said this in the terms of being a grandparent. You know, that as a parent, you're always leading your children, and even as an auntie, you know, you're leading the younger ones, teaching them, guiding them. And you're the example. You know, you're the grown-up. You're the person that they want to be like, they emulate. You teach them. But now you have to follow. You have to follow your children in their desires and their goals. If they're raising their children, you have to follow their way. And you have to be prepared to be, I'm not saying being timid or meek or give up your passion of what you believe in, but you've got to be ready to follow. And I personally love that feeling. There's this experience factor. Of course, we have had more experience. And, you know, my son always says to me, or both my sons, don't worry, Mom, it's going to be okay. This is blah, blah, blah. And I say, well, don't worry, but I've kind of been here before, and I know what happens in this kind of situation. I'm okay to worry about what might happen. I've seen it, the outcome before. So experience does give you that kind of wonderful gift that you can give to people and give them encouragement and, positivity. But to be honest with you, you've got to kind of just give without any real, this is just my opinion, any real expectation of return. You've got to do it with grace. And for Christine, and actually for me, this is freedom. I'm still me. I still have my, my unique characteristics. I'm still my quirky self. And everybody kind of just makes a little joke about some of the things now, but you know, that mom likes to do or Baba likes to do. And it's okay. It's okay. I like unicorns, whatever. I mean, I like silly little things. I like, just creative. I like bubbles. I like playing with my grandson in a more creative way. And they all know that this is just me and accept me. And that's great. So that's the thing about the freedom to have a voice, speak your mind. The next thing is, that Christine says, and I hope you're all, doing this yourselves, is you have the freedom to follow your passions. And again, that goes back to my thing about being quirky. I mean, I've now kind of given up on a lot of the things that I used to do. I like to make jewelry now. I make necklaces. I do things with paper. I'm very creative with my hands. But they're just my passions. They're things I've always wanted to do. Travel. And I actually was very fortunate, and I made it a priority to travel all of my life, even when I had no money. And even now when I'm budgeting, I'm on a budget, I still love to travel, and I do. And everyone, accepts that that's part of me. I just, on a Saturday morning, I'm gone somewhere and they don't know where I am. And they just have to trust that I'm happy and doing something fun. So I think that's the thing, is having the undisturbed and, how did she put it now? Undisturbed and undisturbed space and undivided mind. I'm reading from Christine's words. It's so powerful that when you've got this space, you can do what you want. And she says, I'm busy, they're busy, we're all happy. And that's kind of very cool. The next thing about freedom and the whole idea of aging being a positive gift is this whole idea that you have the freedom to forgive. Now, it's the freedom to forgive others. It's to give people who have been maybe toxic in your life or not positive in your life, you can forgive them. You don't have to, reestablish contact with them. You don't have to get back in touch. You don't have to do anything that's going to disturb your peace of mind, but you can forgive them. And there are some people in my life that applies to. And I think that makes me feel better to know that I've forgiven them and I've now put them in a place in my world. The other thing is to, forgive yourself. And maybe those two are intricately bound up together. I think they kind of are. That if you've done something in your life, and goodness knows, haven't we all? Oh my goodness, someone the other day left a message and it was like, I'm thinking about this person I met, this man, when 30 years ago, and I met him, and I never called him, and I guess he's never going to call me back 30 years later. And it's like, okay, let's let that one go. And I think that and forgive yourself for not calling or for not doing something that would have made it happen. Be a blessing to others in their difficulties, and know that everyone's challenged, everyone's carrying a burden. We just don't know. We look at someone on the street and they may be very, we may get a negative response, or we may feel uncomfortable or frightened even, but we have to kind of know that it's okay. They're going through something difficult too. And I think that we as older women sometimes do have a kind of a sensitivity to that. And I think that's part of the gift that we have to give back. So, as Christine says, in her opinion, don't dread getting older. Embrace it. Embrace these 3 freedoms. The freedom to speak your mind, the freedom to follow your passions, and the freedom to forgive. And with those things, we do experience true happiness, I think, and freedom in our 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. And I just would like to get your feedback on this. I mean, do you think that getting older is awesome? Do you think it's great? Are you happy in your current situation? Do you feel that you've got a gift? I want to just, at the end of this little chat, just tell you real briefly about a card that I pulled out of our deck, our inspirational cards, which are just amazing. 46 cards. You will just love them, I think. Lots of people have purchased them and love them. But this one is actually not reinventing yourself, but becoming yourself. And I think that that's what this whole thing is about, that you don't have to start in your 60s, like redoing everything. You just start where you are and just do that step of just not trying to recreate, but just finding who you are. So I hope this has been helpful and fun and enjoyable. Go out and have a fun day. Enjoy your wherever you are, and know that I appreciate you so much. You're in my heart always. I think about you pretty much all day. And I just hope that you're doing well, and sending you lots and lots of love. Take good care. Bye-bye for now.